Just recap the game the other night. For our MVPs here, selected by our coaches and voted on with our players here. Jonathan Batsky in special teams, I thought had an outstanding game. Those punts down inside the 5 were huge. I thought he did a really good job holding for the field goals. A couple of errant snaps there that he got down, and so it was a big boost to see him, have a really good game in his first collegiate game. On offense, Jerwan Newton, obviously a big touchdown in the second half there, but down one of those punts inside the 5 in the kicking game as well. And I thought just a very solid overall game for him, and then I think you could go a lot of different ways on defense. But Desjuan Johnson, I thought, was very disruptive and got this thing kicked off the right way in the first quarter and gave that center from Long Island fits the entire day. But a lot of guys played, I thought, really well at a high level on defense and could have went a bunch of different ways with that. But those 3 guys I thought were exceptional. And as far as the program itself and the game itself as a whole, what we got to do is we got to take the next step, just like everybody else does from week 1 to week 2. So lots of things to correct, lots of things to highlight, and continue to hopefully you can bottle up and continue to improve and keep solid. But some things that we got to fix as well. So that being said, I'll take your questions. We'll start there first. I think obviously I think we did a good job protecting the quarterback to a certain extent. I think Long Island did a good job of mixing up looks of, playing the 3 safety defense and dropping 8 and creating some pressure situations out of that. And I think, getting a plan together at halftime and going and executing in the third quarter on how to attack that particular defense, our players did a good job of taking coaching and executing that way. And I think that starts with the quarterback. So what started out as maybe not a hot start for him, I think finished very, very good. There's some things that we'd asked that guy to do throughout the preseason. One was to complete more balls at a higher rate, to complete 75% of his passes. I think is very positive for him and things that he can build on. But, I think there's going to be things throughout the course of a game that you see for the young football team. I mentioned the other night that, there's 10 new starters on offense that didn't start in the first game last year. Some very inexperienced guys due to some situations that are out of our control. So, see them kind of go through some tough moments and then rebound and respond, I thought was very, very positive. Defensively, I thought we were excellent right from the jump. They controlled the football game. The game was never in doubt. The field position was under our control from the start, aided by some very good special teams plays. We had a substitution problem that took an interception off the board for us, and that's discouraging because you harp on turnovers and how those can change games and how well they helped us, throughout preseason camp, and to get one and have it taken away, that's something we obviously got to fix. But I think just there's everything. There's little things in there, each phase of the game, the kicking game and an offense and defense that you just want to clean up. Like Quinion Mitchell blocks his guy out of bounds on a punt and does a really, really good job. The guy tries to get back in bounds, he blocks him, and you just got to – the situations, the things that you would – some of those type of things that you don't cover in preseason camp or they don't come up in preseason camp that show up in the game that you got to clean up and take off the tape so they don't happen again.
You have an update on Bolton?
Yeah, Dan's going to miss the season. Lower leg injury that will keep him out the rest of the year, and obviously a very tough emotional time for that young man. If you watched and saw the game, being there and watch him go down, it's a tough thing because he worked really, really hard to get back from an injury last year. We did the best job we could to be as patient as we possibly could with him to get him back to playing, and I thought we had a great plan, and he did a great job of handling that and doing a great job of making sure that he was on point with rehab, and I thought a guy that would be primed and ready to have a great year. So to have a freak thing like that happen just breaks your heart because you know what the investment level of that young man has been up until this point in time. But he's a fighter. He's arguably the toughest, mentally, physically, the toughest guy we have in the program. He'll get back, he'll fight back, and be back and ready to roll for us next year for sure.
And then I was going to ask about Maddox and then RJ as well because I thought he came back out, but I wasn't sure.
RJ, cramp, drink some water. Maddox, hopefully we'll have him back this week.
I know it's only one game, but how underrated of a weapon can a really good punter be? I mean, most people, when you think of football, you think like offense, defense, but obviously special teams is that third element.
Yeah, my gosh, if you watched that football game last night, if you just took the kicking snaps, it told the whole story of the entire football game. Both teams are struggling on offense and defense as every team does in the first game. It's never going to look totally clean in the first football game, and if you're on point special teams wise like we were the other night, that swings the pendulum one way, in your favor in a big and impactful impactful ways. So, yes, can he be a weapon? Absolutely. Ironically, what I didn't think he did a great job of in preseason practice was those pooch situations, and then he nails 3 of them inside the 5. So, I think big confidence builder for him, and like I said, he handled those field goal snaps, which was equally as impressive. So, I'm excited for that kid's career and where it takes off from here.
What do you think of Dallas's first game and kind of the impact he made on the defensive side?
Yeah, I think it jumped off the tape right away. Obviously, lots of tackles, very disruptive, a few havoc plays there, forces a fumble, almost had an interception. But we are going to rely on him to play at a high level. I think he's capable of going out and playing at a high level each and every week. He's a veteran guy that's played a lot of football. He's very comfortable in who he is as a young man. He's got a great upbringing, product of great parenting, obviously, and football is really important to him. He's kind of found his way into the fabric of our culture here, which I respect at a high level, and I'm expecting a big year out of him.
You kind of shared the carries with the running backs this week. How do you kind of anticipate that going forward when you have that many guys? And do you want somebody to break out and be the guy, or how do you?
Yeah, obviously you'd like somebody to take it over and be the guy. I think that position is really hard to evaluate through preseason practice. You only get so many days that you're allowed to tackle. You only get so many days that you can take them to the ground. And real football games, the game-like situation is really the only true test because you can't simulate that through preseason camp. So, some of those. That was by design a little bit for week 1 to see what those guys would do with those opportunities. I think each guy got into a pretty tough situation, a 3rd and short situation, or 3rd down where he had to pick up a tough pressure and hang in there and do a good job protecting the quarterback. So, yeah, I think that obviously moving forward, you want to set one guy to separate, you want somebody to take it over. But I think there's also a point in time too where we have a 240-pound running back and it's 3rd and inches, like he's probably going to get the ball. You know what I mean? I think there's, you got one guy that ran 10-4 and 100 meters who's a great kick returner. I don't know if we're going to be throwing flare passes to, tight ends when you got that guy that can do it. So I think you have different pieces. You use them at different times to match their skill set, build a plan around them to be successful. But, as far as the bell cow running back in that situation, you want somebody to take it over. But I feel confident in those guys going in there and doing a good job.
Are you comfortable with what you've got on the offensive line, or is that just going to be kind of a work in progress all year?
What if I wasn't comfortable? What would we do about it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you're not going to do anything about it. You got what you got. So those guys that went down, you have a contingency plan to go who's going to go in there and play really well. I think that Kendall provided some really solid snaps in the game the other night. I thought Devin Rogers came in and did a really good job. I thought the 2 guards played well. I thought the tackles at times weren't as good as maybe we thought they were going to be. But I think those things that they screwed up on or the mistakes that were made are very correctable. These are not, hey, somebody's totally is better than you. And I think the other thing too is that the quarterback's got to continue to understand that quarterback sacks, that's a quarterback stat. That's not an offensive line stat, and to a certain extent. They share the responsibility in that. The running back shares the responsibility in that. And I believe that he has a good grasp of that. So I think our timing and our rhythm at times was really, really good from snap to hands of the quarterback and getting the ball out of our hands. At other times, I thought it was a little stagnant. And when it was stagnant, that's when you feel like that the offensive line is not performing at the level they need to perform. But we ran the ball for over 220 yards again for 15th time in 2 years, so that's decent, I think. So we'll continue to try to, build some confidence for those guys and build some confidence for you guys too.
3 weeks ago, someone would have told you that the defensive lineman would play 29 snaps at center in the first game. What would your thought?
Well, what a selfless move by him to do that. Obviously, I think that it takes really 2 things to be a really good offensive lineman, to be able to play with great leverage and have great strength, and he does have both. And he's got exceptional feet where he goes from a position where his feet are good to a position where his feet are exceptional. So I think that he's got a bright future there. May have been a blessing in disguise for him, maybe what it looks like for his career moving forward. But again, you can't say enough about the move and the selfless attitude that guy has to make that switch, because it's not the script that you write when you sit there in January or April or May when you have your exit meeting with a player, what your goals are for the summer, what it's going to look like for you coming back. Man, that's not what's said. Hopefully that I get to play on the offensive line next year is probably the last thing that ever crossed that young man's mind. But when the opportunity presented itself and he put his hand up to do that, I think that's a major thing, and it's a great lesson for everybody to learn. It's not about you all the time.
How did that come about? Whose idea was it to switch him, and why was he the guy on the D-line that you thought you could?
Well, he's very intelligent, very smart, and to make that move, especially in the 11th hour like that, you'd have to have somebody that's got, a good football mind. You'd have to have somebody that's very comfortable in his skin to go over and, take a few lumps. You go from rotating with the first team on the D-line to going to be the 3 center, but you have to start somewhere, and there has to be enough humility about you to accept that role and then put the time and energy and effort into climbing the depth chart to where we probably think he can go. So I think it's something that we presented to him, and something that he, I think had as much ownership in putting his hand up to wanting to do it than us suggesting. So, really proud of that kid for doing that, and it's been a big boost for our football team.
Don Brown, obviously, Dr. Blitz, the nickname. How eager are you to see how the offensive line handles the pressure that they'll probably see this week?
Well, they're going to come after you. They're going to come after everybody. That's a pressure team. And by design, they try to do the best job they can to make it really hard on you to run the football. And then when they get you in 3rd and long and 2nd and long, they have ways to to cut up the front and twist and pin their ears back and come after the quarterback. So it's a disruptive defense. They play a lot of guys. There's a lot of personnel packages. They try to do the best job they can to match up personnel to your personnel, and good scheme. Very good coach, and been very successful for a lot of years, and it'll be a good test for us as an offense.
They obviously, you played them last year, but new coaching staff, and they got a ton of transfers this year too. Is it an entirely different scheme and team?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are different. Number one, the thing that jumps off is they're playing a lot harder. The effort and the attitude of how they play and how they approach it is different. In one game sample, but that's not the team that I watched prepping for last year's game when it comes to that piece of it. So when there's a want to and there's an effort thing, it's different, and there are a lot of new faces and the scheme's brand new. But we got a week to prepare, and we got to do a good job and have a good week of practice to get ready.
Getting to play your first 2 games at home, especially when you talk about kind of those 10 new starters this year, how much does that help?
Yeah, I think obviously we like to be in front of our home crowd. That student section was unbelievable the other night. I thought they did a great job of representing our university and coming out and supporting our guys, and hopefully that continues the rest of the way out. But, big to be at home, and be in front of our guys' families. We have a lot of local guys on our team. I think that's always a major plus where, in our footprint where families can come see their young people play and do what they love to do. So, we feed off the energy of the crowd. We like to be around here, like to be at home, and I think it's good to get off to a good start that way, and but got to play them all.
The big news Friday was the playoff expansion. 6 highest ranked conference champions without being in, which is a legitimate path for MAC teams. Northern a few years back would have been in, Western Michigan probably would have been in. What does that mean for Toledo and these MAC programs to actually have a true playoff hearing?
Well, I think it provides hope, and I think there anytime that there's hope in anything, you can connect to it, and I think there's then now you can create a vision on what that may end up being, and then it's now sharing the vision and staying connected to it, So I think it opens up some possibilities, and I think it's good for college football.